Well, good evening, everyone. This is Vibha Kagzi back on House of Experts, episode 40, bringing to you a very special guest from the fitness industry. I'm going to just jump into introducing our guest for today. Mallika Parekh, born and raised in the United States, moved to India, expert in the healthcare and medical sciences space. She actually holds two master's degrees, one in medical science and one in the public health space. Going to dig deeper into why she did those two degrees and how those connect with what she's doing now. She decided to bring Physique 57 to India, and I want to dig deeper into why she thought it would be a good proposition for India to bring an American brand into the Indian market and how she adapted it, if at all. She's also founded something called Valiance Healthcare in 2015, and we're going to talk a little bit about that in the preventative healthcare space. She's also been featured extensively in a range of healthcare and lifestyle publications like Elle, Vogue, Condé Nast Traveler, and many, many more publications, and has also won Physique 57 has won many international awards in Dubai, New York, etc., as the best fitness brand and best prenatal and postnatal fitness workout. So we're going to touch upon all these aspects and many, many more things. Mallika, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much. Thanks for having me, Vibha. Nice to be here.
All right. So without much ado, Mallika, since we run an education and careers firm, I believe education starts at home. I'm going to first ask you about your childhood. What were you like as a kid? What were your sort of early influences growing up?
Yeah, my childhood was a busy one, to be honest. So I was an only child. I didn't have siblings. My mom and dad kept me very busy with lots of extracurriculars, lots of activities. I come from a family of healthcare professionals, mostly doctors. My mother was in healthcare business. So from a very young age, I was in a healthcare environment. So since I was a kid, I was volunteering at hospitals, acted very closely. Oops, can you hear me?
Yep.
So went out there for a second. Connected very closely with a lot of the physicians and surgeons that I worked for along the way. They really inspired me. So between hospitals and old age homes, I did a lot of volunteering. I was involved in many extracurriculars, music in particular. So around the holidays, we would go with our choir and our orchestra and sing and play at homes. So I was just around healthcare a lot as a kid. It felt natural. It felt like a very natural environment. Hospitals don't scare me. I feel quite safe there. I love them. So that's kind of, in addition to many other things, healthcare was a big part of my childhood.
Okay, so very, very early influence to healthcare. You sort of grew up in that environment.
I did, absolutely. And it was, I was fascinated right from a very young age with the science, and I was fascinated by things like blood and the body and just how things worked with respect to the body specifically. So lots of people are engineers. They love to understand how things work. I was very specific. I had a very specific interest to how things work in the body from a very young age, and I think that's attributed to my background, of course, but also just to the exposure that I had to doctors and to hospitals and old age homes and just a number of healthcare service environments.
Okay, great. Okay, so very, very early influences leading to the medical space. What did you end up studying at college? Did you do sort of a pre-med degree? What did you end up studying with this sort of background?
I had a crazy journey. So I took my extracurriculars very seriously, and I would recommend that to anybody. I actually started as a vocal performance major.
Wow.
I studied opera. I was an opera singer, and I studied opera and started as a voice major. Decided within a few months that was not a career path that I was going to pursue. I had to be a lot better to become a professional. So I switched to, I ended up with an economics major, a philosophy minor, and a pre-med double major. So I double majored in economics and pre-med, and I had a minor in philosophy. So I was kind of all over the place.
Wow.
College. Yeah. I was trying to figure it out.
Okay, so you had a little bit of music in your degree, a little bit.
So
Economics.
I kept doing music for a very long time. I sang a cappella and I sang in college. I just decided not to pursue it as a career.
Okay, so economics, pre-med, and a minor in philosophy, you said.
That's right. Yep.
Okay, and all of it sort of coming together in a very interesting fashion in your current avatar, and we're going to see how it all ties up. Then you went on to do two master's degrees. So why two master's degrees, and what led you to public health and medical sciences? What was the sort of driving force there?
Yeah, so that's a great question. And I wish I knew now what I didn't know then. Or I wish I knew then, sorry, I should say what I know now. But I went straight from college onto my public health degree. And that was because I really wasn't sure about the medical route. I knew I wanted to be involved in medicine or healthcare in some way, but I wasn't quite convinced that I wanted to go to medical school and become a physician and just, see patients. And I mean, one of the most honorable professions, as we know, but I didn't know that that was necessarily my calling. I wanted to understand healthcare from a broader perspective, and specifically majored in healthcare management and policy because I wanted to understand the business side and the policy side of healthcare specifically, and population health. So healthcare on a macro level. And there was a lot happening at that time in the US. There was universal healthcare legislation being passed in the state of Massachusetts. That's where I studied. So that's where I did my master's in public health. So it was just an exciting time to pursue healthcare from a macro lens. And so that's kind of what propelled me towards the M.P.H after college. And I did my fellowship in some wonderful institutions in Boston and at Mass General and Partners Healthcare. And I couldn't have asked for a better graduate school experience that way. And, I think so I paused after that. I didn't know I was going to do more school, and I got a lot of work experience. I didn't have any work experience between undergrad and my M.P.H, which many programs require over there.
Sure.
But I didn't do that. I just went straight through. I finished my master's in public health, and then I explored healthcare. So I worked for a consulting company to consult hospitals and health systems. I worked for a company that advised clients about their healthcare investments. So we were a consulting company for healthcare investors where we informed them about regulatory due diligence. I worked in many hospitals. I did a couple of surgical internships and clinical research in departments of surgery in a number of hospitals and management internship. So I explored the healthcare space in the U.S. and I just wanted to understand all sides of it.
Wow,
When
so
I was
very, very extensive, huh? Did the consulting route, the hospitals. I mean, you really went all out to understand all the possible options in the healthcare space for you.
I did, and it was mostly self-discovery. I didn't really know what I wanted to do yet in healthcare. So all I knew is that I had this background in this education, and I needed to explore it to figure out what I wanted to do. I mean, that's really all it was. I think so. After I worked for a few years, I decided to go back to school, and that's when I pursued my master's in medical science. That was the most exciting education for me because I was just obsessed with the science at that point, and I just wanted to learn more. And so that was a perfect fit for me at the time. I really wanted to understand the science behind all of it. I had understood the business and the policy and the system and populations, and now I wanted to drill down in the science. And I thought very strongly that I would go towards the route of studying the science and then pursuing medical school. So I thought I would finish my master's in medical science and then go on towards medical school, but then the universe had other plans.
Okay, but still a very, very strong foundation and very diverse exposure to healthcare and many facets of healthcare. So very strong foundation coming your way. What happens next? You decide not to go down the medical professional route. What happens then?
Yeah, so I met with I was on a trip to India, and I met with he was a friend and really a mentor at the time. He's now my husband, but we met, you know, many years ago. We were family friends, and we would check in a couple of times a year on career stuff. And I had just finished I was just nearing the end of my master's in medical science. And he was like, "Are you done with school? I mean, can you think about doing something serious with your life other than studying? Because, you know, you have all this education, you have this knowledge, and now it's a hot time for healthcare in India. What are you doing? Like, why don't you explore what's happening over here?"
Right.
So I really I went with it. You know, we had many conversations, not just, it wasn't like on a whim, but we had many conversations on what I would pursue here if it were not a traditional hospital structure.
Sure.
And in, you know, in floating those conversations by investors and things, we found out that people were actually really excited about the concept. So I decided to drop the studies for a bit and really and come to India and pursue something that I thought I would do much later in my career. I always had a connection to India, of course. My parents are from here. You know, they were born and raised here. I spent a lot of my childhood in India as well. So I had a strong connection to the country. And I always knew that I wanted to somehow give back and do something meaningful here.
Sure.
I didn't know it would be in the beginning of my career. I thought it would be much, much later. You know, when I had done everything there was to do in the US, I thought at some point I would contribute something here, but it didn't work out that way. And so here I am.
Okay, great. So thanks for that background. Let's jump right into Physique 57. So before we get into the hows and the whens and the whys, what is Physique 57? If you were to describe it to our viewers, what is the concept?
So I'll start with saying it's not a gym. And I think that's really important. It's a specific science-based fitness method. It's a fitness method that incorporates cardio, strength training, and stretching, all within a single workout. So you work out for, you know, the classic 57 minutes. I mean, now we have shorter versions, of course, but if you do a classic workout with us, which is a 57-minute workout, you've covered all your bases in terms of cardio, strength training, and stretching. And I think that that's really, it's really important, because as we get busier and you know, as we try and create time for fitness, as options exist, as so many options exist, it's really difficult to figure out what to do when, especially if you're the type to just want to work out on your own. I was never a gym person. And, you know, personal training, at least in the US, personal training could be very expensive, and it wasn't something that was widely available. And when I was, you know, seeking out fitness options. And so Physique 57 is what we call boutique fitness, where it's a specific type of workout, but it covers everything that you need to do within exercise, really. And that really spoke to me as somebody who, you know, wanted something that was efficient, but also effective. So.
Okay, so it's essentially it's a concept, or like it's a kind of routine that has been.
It's a specific method.
It's a method.
It's a specific. Okay. So when you do a class, I'll take you through. I mean, if you do a 57-minute class, you don't stop moving. The trainers are actually, they're fitness professionals, but they're professional dancers by training, and that we only hire professional dancers by training, and that's because they have a very unique education in anatomy, kinesiology, form, alignment. They know the body. Sure. They're very in tune with the body, and they pay attention to form and alignment in a way that many fitness professionals are not even trained to do, because they know that the smallest adjustment can be the difference between an injury and, you know, something that really works for your body. So so we have these trainers that take you through a 57-minute nonstop workout, which is choreographed specifically to music, and it takes you through sort of peaks and valleys of energy, bursts of energy. So it's interval training, as many people I'm sure would understand what that is. And it takes your muscle to a point of fatigue. So it takes each muscle group. Every workout is really head to toe, and every single workout you will hit every single muscle group, and you take each muscle group to a point of fatigue, and then you stretch immediately for relief. So you're never feeling that the outcome of the workout when you're done, you're never feeling, you're not supposed to feel exhausted, blasted, defeated. You know, you're supposed to really feel empowered, energized, and nimble and strong really, and strong enough to do the same thing the next day if you want. So it's very little recovery time because of the way that it's
As it's
designed.
designed. Okay, cool. Um, so is it traditionally, is it a workout that's sort of done in a gym and then you took it online, or was it always a hybrid model or an online model? What was the delivery mechanism?
So it's traditionally, boutique fitness is something that is a very popular concept in the US, and it involves going to what we call a fitness studio. So when you go to a fitness studio, you don't have tons of equipment like a gym. You can't do anything under the sun. You focus on that specific fitness method at that fitness studio, and so the traditional delivery of Physique 57 is a group class format. And so you sign up for a group class, you go to a fitness studio, it uses a ballet bar as an apparatus. So it is a type of bar workout. It uses a ballet bar as an apparatus, but you don't need any dance experience to do it. It's one of the pieces of equipment that we do use. And then outside of a ballet bar, you use light weights, like I'm talking 1 to maybe 3 kg weights. Use your own body weight for resistance, resistant bands, a playground ball. So really light, portable equipment that looks nothing
But
like it.
it's traditionally taught in a studio, so
But
it is a
taught
physical
in a,
space.
it's traditionally taught in a studio in a group class format. And there's a
Okay.
reason behind I can get into that, but there's a reason behind that. As of late, and honestly, we've been evolving towards this because it's very difficult to get access to something where you have to go to the studio to do it. And so we're very aware of schedules and traffic and, all of the limitations that exist for people to make it to a specific workout class. So we've been moving towards offering virtual platforms for a long time.
Okay.
Because of the lockdown, had to expedite all of that. And so now we offer virtual group classes, so virtual live classes. So it's like this: I'm connecting with the trainer live. He or she is correcting my form. He or she can see me. So we're doing the live virtual format, and then in a couple of months, we're also going to be launching an app, and
Okay.
that's where you'll get access to. For Indians, everywhere, you'll get access to video on demand. So video, so that's anytime, anywhere, right? You download
Sure.
the app, you have access to a workout, you can program it and sign up for whatever class you want. You can switch between workouts, whatever you want to do. So
Okay. So
that's
traditionally studio format, but you've sort of evolved into online, and you're sort of making it sort of virtual fitness, as someone in the chat has mentioned. It's become like a virtual fitness platform now. Okay, great.
yeah.
Um, so why Physique 57? Why bring an American brand to India as opposed to just establishing a new brand? It wasn't like the brand was all pervasive, very well known here in India. So why did you choose to go down that path from a business perspective?
It was really a science perspective, if I'm totally honest. It was from a science and healthcare perspective. A lot of people don't realize that Indians have lower bone density than most populations
Mm-hmm.
globally. And I was somebody who struggled a lot growing up. I mean, I was a tennis player. I was an athlete. I was a tennis player. I was a swimmer. I played a lot of sports, lacrosse, all kinds of things. And I was always injured, always. I never understood why I sustained more injuries than a lot of my peers of various ethnic backgrounds. Um, and it was only until I started to really study the subject and study population health when I realized that not all of us are built the same way, and Indians actually are predisposed to lower bone density compared to most other populations globally. So when I discovered Physique 57 because I myself had difficulty finding fitness regimens that worked for my body. I had to find something that was intense enough, that gave me visible results, but did not damage my bones and my joints. I had knee issues growing up. I mean, so many issues, so many injuries. So the gym didn't work for me. Sports is very tough after a while when you're living in a city like Manhattan. It's tough to find a tennis court and find time on a tennis court, like, as and when you want. It's very seasonal. And so I discovered Physique 57 in that journey, in my own personal health journey. And when I realized, and I put it all together, just this huge awareness, this rising awareness in India about fitness, but but the fact that there weren't that many forms of fitness that were low impact, so
Right.
safe in bones and bone density, but still high intensity that gave people results, especially for women. I mean, women, you know, there wasn't a lot, and men do the workout too, but it really was designed by women, and with a woman's body in mind, because there's lots of things that, you know, women can do that men can't do, and a lot of workouts don't necessarily take all of those functionalities into
So
consideration. So
you truly believed in the concept. You'd been there, done that, tried it, felt
yeah,
that it worked.
from a science perspective, I mean, more than, of course, there was a demand, there was a gap in the market. Of course, all of that was there, and I was very lucky to be a first mover in this type of workout. But I think more than that, it was the specific science-backed method and the benefit that I saw that it had on my own body, and the fact that I understood the science enough to know that this was going to be great for Indian bodies.
Okay, sure, great. Okay, so that's how you honed in on Physique 57. Just for someone who'd like to set up, an international brand here in India, much like you did, what are some of the things that were going through your head, when you decided to do this? Like, what are some of the things you'd caution someone to think about when they decide to partake in this sort of international partnership?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think, know your market and really take the time to understand your market, because as much as Indians love the international aspect of a brand, they really do, and that's a great thing. I mean, Indians want to get ahead. They want that we want to be more global. We want exposure to things, and I think that's fantastic. So there's, first of all, a huge opportunity for international brands in India. That being said, the Indian audience is it's its own beast. I mean, it's its own. It's very specific, and
Sure.
it's very different from markets in the West. And I think it's just important for anybody that's aspiring to do
To
something,
understand the market. Okay.
understand the market. Yeah, understand the
Right.
market. Know your audience.
Did you
Understand
did you
what's important
tweak
to them.
you tweak anything that Physique 57 offers in another market and sort of adapt it to India?
We do. Frankly, the fitness level in India is not what it is abroad. So the
Right.
level of difficulty of the classes that we're able to offer here on a more mass scale to the general public, a lot of people can't do the level of difficulty that exists in the West. So we have had to slightly modify our routines so that we can help people build strength, but also not feel completely intimidated by us when they come to us. It's important to be approachable. And that was from a science perspective, it was really important that we had to start somewhere, and we had to start in an approachable place so people could actually feel that they could grow with us rather than start at the level that it's at abroad. So that's one thing. I think the other thing I would definitely, so that's one thing we've had to tweak. The other thing that, we're exploring is location. I think when it comes to fitness, what we provided was a beautiful environment for people, and it was something that it was unlike any other gym. I mean, it really gave people the feeling of a wellness spa. I mean, I wanted it to feel like a wellness retreat. I wanted people to feel like they were making an investment in themselves, and I think all of that is important. It's something we plan to maintain as a brand, but I do think that accessibility is important. So at the end of the day, it's exercise, and
Right.
people just want it to be part of their everyday life. Then I would just make sure that it's accessible to as many
Access.
people.
Okay.
Yeah.
Malika, I have a question here from Charming Desert Rose, directed directly at you. It says, you look so fit. Could you share the secret of your skin and hair and fitness? Okay, so we're going personal here, Malika. So tell us about your fitness regime. Tell us what you do to stay fit.
Thank you so much for that compliment. I do. I honestly, I mean, I can't. I don't want to sound like a brand plug, but I do only Physique 57, and it's only because A, I don't have time to do more, and B, my body it does well with it. I cover all my bases. I get the cardio, I get the strength training, I get the stretching, and I probably should incorporate a little bit more stretching, knowing how my body works. But this is what I have time for, and it's efficient. That's the biggest thing for me in terms of exercise. So that's really been something that I've stuck with. And no two workouts are ever the same. So there's people that have done Physique 57 for years. I started Physique 57 in 2010 or 11, and I'm still doing it today. I think it's important for people to know that no two workouts will ever be the same. So you're always going to get something different, which is important for your muscles. It's great for muscle confusion. It gives you results that, visible results much faster because you're not doing the same thing again and again, and you don't get into muscle fatigue. So, it works for me. So this is honestly, I mean, I eat well. I try and get as much sleep as I can, and I do, and I.
So since you touched upon the eating well aspect, let's talk a little bit about nutrition as well. So, do you guys also counsel on nutrition? And I mean, does the whole like food and exercise equation go together? Not go together? What's your take on that?
Yeah, of course it does. I mean, I think again, this is something that's very specific to this audience because everybody wants to know about nutrition. And again, in the West, it's easy to separate exercise and nutrition because they're two very different things. But that being said, of course, everything we do is fueled by nutrition. It's supported by nutrition, and so we have nutritional counseling by way of partnerships. So we have partnered with nutritionists. We have a current partnership with a Harvard nutritionist, a Harvard trained nutritionist, I should say, and the one thing that I say that we really stick with when we form those affiliations in nutrition and we give nutritional counseling or give nutritional advice is balance. We don't subscribe to diets that are not sustainable. We really believe in making small lifestyle changes and small nutritional changes that are ultimately sustainable, and not in, depriving oneself of a specific food group. I mean, there's a reason all the food groups exist. They're all very important, including, your complex carbs, which people really are the first, that people cut those first. And I think that they're hugely important. So we really preach balance when it comes to nutrition.
Okay, so
Balance.
but there is a nutritional element to this, and you do provide nutrition.
We do. The Physique 57 method does not have its own nutrition method, but we have formed very well thought out partnerships with people who have the same philosophies as we do, scientifically. So.
Okay. I'll pick up this question from Naveen Bhasin, who says, do you have a weight loss program at Physique 57? Do you do that? Like, do people sign up for like, oh, I want to lose 5 kilos or 10 kilos? And is there a program like that?
Yeah, so it's not a specific single program. What you do is when you join, you have a conversation with one of our trainers about and our trainers, by the way, I mean, I was telling you earlier, they're trained in dance. They're also trained in the US. I send them to New York for training at headquarters, and they were trained there for many weeks, 300 hours, and then they came back and trained for 6 months. I mean, they're extremely well trained. So that being said, you talk to one of them about your goals, whether it's weight loss or something else, strength building, whatever it is, and they work with you very closely and sort of give you suggestions on the levels of classes that you should do based on your goals. But anyone that does Physique 57 for 8 classes is what we say, but it really is 8 classes or more, you're going to start to see visible results, and you're going to see the waistline trim right away, because over 90% of our workout engages the core the entire time when you don't even realize it, and that's really important and that combined with the strength training where you're building muscle is really important for fat loss. So
okay, so
yeah.
I hope that answered your question, Naveen. They do have trainers on call, and you can speak to your trainer and sort of customize.
Call us, reach out to us on social media, or call us, and we can definitely put you in touch with somebody who will talk you through what your specific goals are.
All right, thank you, Mallika, for answering that. I'm going to take another question. Someone's asking, what do you eat in a day? I don't know if you want to go into your personal food routine. If you're open to sharing just a general broad thing.
I eat 3 meals a day. I try and cover all the bases. So protein, fiber, carbs, complex carbs, I should say. I don't have a sweet tooth. I'm not big on sweets, but that's just me. I mean, it's changed after pregnancy. I had a twin pregnancy, and everything changed after that. So, so when I want a little bit of sugar or something sweet, I eat it. I mean, the more you overthink it and the more you stress about it, the worse off you're going to be. So, if you eat till you're full or almost full every meal, and try and avoid snacking, you're on a really good path towards nutrition, and you're trying to make a conscious effort to cover all of your food groups. Again, protein, fiber, healthy fats, fruits and vegetables, and complex carbs, and then you're way ahead of the game.
Okay, all right. Thanks, Mallika. Guys, I hope that made sense. Essentially, she's talking about balancing and ensuring you just sort of keep a mix of all food groups in your diet. Saijal Purohit, I hope that took care of your question as well. Yes, it does
It's
make
all
sense.
about sustainability. If it's not sustainable, you're not going to be able to do it in the long run. So that's really what Physique 50, that's what the workout is all about. We have clients who are 70 plus. We have clients who start with us as teenagers. Like it's about sustainability. It's about giving your body things that you can do in the long run.
The continuity of it. Okay.
Exactly.
All right. I have questions here from Chris Ann and Rain who are asking about yoga and Zumba. Is that incorporated in your routine at all?
So there's principles from yoga and Zumba that are incorporated, right? So Zumba is all about the music, and music is a huge part of our workout. In fact, I don't know if people know this, but humans are the only species musical beat. So so music is huge. It takes you through the entire workout. It's very well planned and thought out by our trainers. And so that's one of the principles from Zumba that carries through in our workout. The other thing you said is yoga. Yeah. So we have stretching, which we incorporate through the workout. And it's important because it's not just about stretching before or after a workout. It's really stretching throughout the workout to help build like long, lean muscle. And that's part of our, proprietary method. So it's our proprietary method that we've developed, but it incorporates principles from aerobics, Pilates, yoga, Zumba, if that gives you a clear idea.
Okay, great. All right. I hope that made sense, Raynor and Christian. Taking this question from If Pictures Could Speak. Question is, when are the classes resuming? So has everything been put on hold for COVID, and how is that affecting the business?
Yeah, so unfortunately, we have closed our doors for group classes. We are taking privates in studio for clients that request it. And primarily we're focused and we're sort of, we're really focused on growth and expansion of our virtual business. So whether it's virtual privates or virtual group classes or our VOD platform, our video on demand platform, we're really focused on building that experience. And that's hard, right? Like online challenges that online business face, and I'm sure this is across industries. It's difficult to maintain engagement, to maintain energy, especially when you're trying to get somebody to exercise, to keep them motivated virtually. It's tough. It presents its challenges, but we are focused on making that experience the best that it can be right now. So we're going to wait for a little while longer until we have a little bit more safety around us in terms of COVID-19. And we do have an expansion plan in place that is, that's a national plan. So we will ultimately, when we are on the other side of all of this, we will expand into other cities and other markets within India.
Okay. All right. If Pictures Could Speak, it seems like the classes haven't stopped. You can go online and figure out a video on demand class or take a personal training session online.
Right now, virtual live classes. That's really the main thing. So you have a schedule. If you go onto our platform, you have a schedule. You pick a time that you can where you can come, and we're happy to inform you about the levels and things if it's not clear from our page. Again, as soon as you reach out, somebody reaches out to you, and you get a very customized approach to the workout.
Okay, thanks for answering all those questions, guys. Thanks for all your questions. Keep them coming, and keep an eye on the chat box. Mallika, I want to touch a little bit upon the nitty gritty of running this sort of operation. What are some of the challenges you faced early on, and what are some of the ongoing challenges? When you're first setting up, what happens in a startup like this, and then what are some of the things that keep persisting? What are things that sort of keep you up at night?
So I think that there's a few, there's obviously a few, challenges when we were first starting out. It all starts with real estate. When you're trying to set up a physical business, anything that involves physical infrastructure, real estate, it's its own animal over here, and it's different in every city. It works differently in every city. So it's not something that I was familiar with necessarily. I had great, guidance, but it's something that we really had to we struggled with in terms of finding the right space and finding the space that fit the brand, but still finding something accessible. I think real estate is definitely something that will always keep us up because it's always a give and take. There's never a perfect space. And so we have actually very specific requirements, despite the fact that it's not a lot of space that we need, because of the way that the workout is designed. And so it's something that I think will continue to challenge us and just push us in terms of trying to find the best options that are out there. So real estate is definitely one. As we move towards virtual, there are the challenges that, again, online businesses face everywhere.
Right.
Connection, energy, motivation. It's tough. It's in the middle of last year, throughout last year, when everybody was just hitting an all-time low personally, it took everything we had to really try and motivate our team to even have the energy to motivate clients. It was a big ask, honestly, and they did a wonderful, tremendous job. But it took a lot of reflection, a lot of conversation, a lot of just adaptability, I think, as a business owner, in terms of people's personal situations, to try and get them to stay focused and remember what they're trying to do, what the overall objective is, which is really to make people feel great about themselves and feel healthy. And it became that much more paramount given everything that was going on, right? Health became the
Right.
focus. So these are things that I think will continue to challenge us and push us really to grow.
Okay, great. Thank you. Just Trooper, I'm seeing your questions here. She's already addressed all of this, Just Trooper. So if you don't mind, just watch the playback of this, the entire video. It will be on the Reach Ivy Insta page for a while, and it'll be out as a story, and the full video will be available, guys, for you to watch on our IGTV. So I'm sorry, I'm not going to ask those questions again, Just Trooper. She just took care of those. Okay. So you said the real estate at the outset. And then, of course, the adaptation to online and seeing how that would work. Let's talk a little bit about your trainers, because you brought the technique from the US, but ultimately the delivery is being done locally. So, and actually one of my really good friends, Anisha Shah, who works with you, was raving about her experience, working with you. So let's talk a little bit about the trainers. How do you find them? How do you train them? And then how do you keep an eye on them? How do you sort of monitor that they're delivering what you're expecting them to deliver?
That's a great question. We're actually in the middle of all of this right now. So Anisha is our master trainer at Physique in India, and she's done a tremendous job. She went with our initial group of instructors to New York City. They spent 6 weeks and trained for almost 300 hours in the Physique57 method to sort of get accustomed to not
300 hours, huh? Wow.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was the most intense 6 weeks of their life. I mean, if you ask any of them, they'll say it was the most intense 6 weeks of their lives. But it's because they really cared, and we really cared to bring this method correctly to India. It was important that when clients come to us, they believe that we really know what we're talking about when it comes to this method and the fact that it's great for the Indian body. And so the training was necessary. After they came back, there were continuous, I would say first it was weekly, then it became monthly, sort of check-ins with the US team. They would constantly do quality assurance and make sure that, their training was maintained and that they were doing things and teaching things correctly and accurately. And now we have a combination. So Anisha oversees quality assurance across the instructors now. And we're just in the middle of putting new things in place. So, ongoing training sessions, ongoing evaluations. The biggest thing for us is client feedback. And so building that into their performance and and how their, you know, how their delivery comes across is really important. So incorporating client feedback into metrics so that they are able to really understand whether they're providing a quality experience. So,
Okay.
and then
Wow.
we have, you know, national check-ins and international reviews as well, very frequently, many times a year from the US team towards India. So just to make sure that we're keeping abreast on everything that they're, you know, everything that the method is growing into.
Okay. So lots of detailing, huh? It's this sounds like a very tedious. You're doing a very detailed and thorough job.
It's specific, right? It's a specific method. It's
Mm.
science-based. We have doctors, you know, all over the world that have vouched for us, that have vetted the method, that, you know, OBGYNs who send their patients or send their, you know, pregnant wives, or if they're pregnant themselves, they come to do this class. We have people with orthopedic injuries that have literally healed their orthopedic injuries because of this method. So we have, and some of the top, you know, medical names in the world that have vetted the method and that really, really stand by the benefits. And so it's important that we stay precise and we stay accurate because it's got so much science behind it. We want to make sure that that comes through.
Okay, great. So we've touched upon the science and the concept. We touched upon the real estate angle. Touched upon the training angle. Let's talk about the customers, right? For any business to sustain, it's the customers. Um, what are the customers expecting? What have you dealt with any sort of difficult customers? You spend most of your life in the U.S. and then you came here to India. How do you think the Indian customer, other than the body type, is different from an American customer that you were sort of used to? Like, let's just focus on the C in the room. Like, what is the Indian customer like?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's, you know, it's different in the sense that this whole space is new. So anytime you're trying to change the paradigm and really shift something within an industry, it's a huge task because people don't necessarily understand the difference. So they don't understand the difference between us and a gym. They don't
Sure.
understand the difference between us and other fitness methods. Um, and so right off the bat, we have, uh, you know, we started with a potentially higher price point than people were accustomed to for fitness. And
Mm.
without seeing it, without understanding it, without experiencing it, it was very difficult to
It's
explain.
just,
Like, this is
yeah.
really an investment that you're making in yourself. This is something which you can do for life. This is a method that you can do that will wake up muscles you never thought you had, that will build your bone density, that will help you through things like injuries and pregnancies and post-pregnancies and aging, really. And so until you experience it, it's very hard to explain that. And so that's I think that, you know, in terms of our customer, not necessarily understanding Physique 57, but also not understanding peak fitness is this. It's exploring how to make a commitment to yourself and an investment in yourself through fitness. That's a pretty novel concept, right? I mean, I just want to, you know, some people, I just want to get a workout in, like, whatever. Just tell me what to do. I'll do it. 30 minutes, I'm done. Why
Right.
50? Why 1 hour? Why so long? Um, why so hard? You know, why go through all of this? So I think that that's definitely something that we faced here in our market because it was so new. A bar-based method was so new, and that's not the case in the West. People are familiar.
Right. Okay. So I mean, at the outset, you were literally sort of educating people.
But we're
Um,
still educating. We're
you're
still
still
educating.
educating.
Most of my career in India so far is education. It's just informing people and educating people on why this is so important for our health and why this is so relevant to us as a population. It's most of what I do. It's education.
Wow.
The articles, all the press, it's, you know, anytime we can take an opportunity to educate, that's really what we do because we understand that people don't necessarily, it's not a trend, it's not a fad, it's not, you know, do all the trends, do all the fads, try all that, but then try us out and and hopefully we teach you something and hopefully you learn something about yourself, about the body, about fitness that you didn't know before.
Okay, I mean that's very interesting and quite a challenge here in India because obviously India has so many native forms of exercise as well, right? With the whole yoga movement, with Ayurveda and naturopathy, some of them prescribing actually no exercise and just going for walks or just sitting and doing your breathing exercises. Then prescribing this sort of intense workout, which comes from with a Western science in that sense, would most definitely be a challenge.
Yeah, no, and I think and some of those forms are rooted in time, and so some of them are dated and some of them still have a lot of relevance. Yoga is wonderful for the body, but it doesn't do everything. It does a lot, but it doesn't necessarily do everything that you need to do to get comprehensive exercise. And so we have a lot of people who practice yoga and also practice Physique 57, and that's a great combination because they're getting their cardio, they're getting their strength training, they're they're using their body weight as resistance in different ways. They're getting the muscle confusion, but then they're also doing yoga, which also incorporates strength, but a lot of flexibility. So it's a great
Okay.
combination.
Great combination. Okay, great. Stemming from the question on the customers, I also want to touch a little bit on pricing, right? Because, I mean, this is an American brand, and I lived in New York. I know how much I would pay. I know how much my friends are paying for personal training in the US, and I know what I pay here in India, right? I have a personal trainer coming in. I pay like a fraction of what I would pay in the US.
Yeah.
Since you brought an international brand here to India, how does the pricing structure work? Are you free to do what you like with the pricing? Are there stipulations around that? And how did you manage to figure out the right price point in India, given the challenges that are evident to all of us?
I think I think pricing is another thing. When you asked me earlier what would keep me up at night, I think pricing is another thing that we're still trying to figure out. It's something that it's definitely, we knew that we could not offer it at a price that was remotely close to what it is in the US, in New York City, no less. That being said, we were trying to find the right sweet spot for clients to really understand that, I mean, there is a value in this. We can't, we didn't want to get into, when everybody went online during COVID, we didn't want to get into this race to the bottom, just offer the best deal. And this really is, I mean, at the end of the day, we still want to make sure that people are understanding that they're making an investment in themselves. So it's a fine line between what that number should be and also, what is palatable for
Right.
in consumer. And so I think it's something that we've moved quite a bit, and now because we're online instead of offline, the price points have changed. But when we
Right.
come offline, when we open back our studios up, we have to be sensitive to the audience's situation, our target audience's situation, and so it's going to be something that's friendly and manageable for the Indian audience. It can't be what it is in the US. So these things needed to be discussed with our licensor in New York, but they were extremely understanding of the fact that we're dealing with a market in Asia, and it's going to be different than what's happening over there.
Okay. Sabahat Hurzuk asking, how do you keep it affordable for your target audience? Sabahat, I think she just touched upon that. Maybe Mallika, do you want to give us some sense of the pricing so that for people who are listening and if they were interested in signing up, what does it cost in the US and how have you priced it here in India right now, at least?
Yeah, so in the US, and again, things are changing, but for a single class in the US in studio, you pay about almost 40 US dollars. Okay, close to 40 US dollars. For over here, you pay about what is it? Less than 10 US dollars.
Oh, okay.
For a single virtual class, I should say. For a single class in studio, it's closer to somewhere between 20 and 25 US dollars. So apples to apples, it's about 2/3, probably going to be closer to half of what they charge in the US if you're going on an apples to apples comparison on a single class. That being said, people don't really purchase single classes. Lots of people purchase memberships. That's where you get the value add, because when you start to do the method more frequently, you start to see results very quickly. And people sort of think about fitness on a calendar, like on a monthly schedule. That works much better. So we've just revised our pricing, where our monthly pricing is somewhere between 5,000 and 6,000 rupees, or just around 6,000 rupees, I should say, for a monthly membership. And then, it goes up and down based on, so there's a 1 month, there's 3 months, there's package pricing. If you don't want to commit to a month, but you want just to buy a few classes and do them over a few months, that you can visit our website, you can visit our Instagram page, and you can get the details.
But ballpark about 6,000 rupees a month. You can sign up for something around that price point.
For the virtual classes.
Yep. Okay, cool. All right. Let's take this question from, it's Claire B, who says, how can we sign up for classes? Do you do trial classes at all? Do you do trial classes? Do you allow people to just...
We do, absolutely. And it's so important. Thank you for asking the question. It's so important for us to be able to offer the experience because it's so new. So we do offer free trials. We even offer actually free trial weeks, so complimentary trial weeks, so that you can actually see the results that you're supposed to experience over some time. So like a 2-week period, for example, because one class may not necessarily be enough. So I would encourage anybody that wants to try it to really sign up for something like that, where you can take advantage of either trial classes or trial weeks, depending on what we're offering at the time, so that you can start to understand the benefits of this type of method over time.
Okay, and the last, not 57 minutes yet, but the last 53 minutes have most definitely convinced me to give the trial a shot, Mallika. So I'm going to reach out to you or reach out to someone, or maybe Anisha, someone from your...
I think if you don't, I think Anisha's going to reach out to you at this point. I think she's quite keen to see you in class, I'm sure. And she's a great person to start with. So we would love to have you in class.
Done. I will sign up for the trials at least and just get a flavor of the workout, because with the passion with which you have spoken about the methodology, I'm actually just curious to see what is this workout, because I mean, I've been doing all sorts of fitness workouts all my life, and the way you've been describing this and the confluence of so many different methods coming together, and the fact that it's sort of strength and cardio and stretching, all of that combined into one, most definitely makes it something I'm very curious to now decipher. So
it's efficient, fun, it's effective, it's safe, it's like all the things that you would want in something new, especially. So definitely worth giving a shot.
Worth giving a shot. Okay, let me just ask sort of one or two final questions as we get in the session. What are the next 5 years looking like for you? You obviously, you've done a lot of stuff, right? You've really sort of gone deep into the healthcare space, and given all the accolades and all this sort of education and this strong foundation and the family background that you come from, if you were to sort of think about your career in the next 5, 10, sort of the 5 to 10 year phase, what do you feel? Where do you see yourself going?
So I think that when I was trying to figure and I know there's a lot of people, hopefully, that will tune into this or have tuned into this, that are trying to figure out what to do with their careers. And I think the best advice that I ever got was from a mentor of mine, who said that, you're trying to figure out your career, but the career that you will ultimately have doesn't even exist yet. This is when I was like in my 20s, in my early 20s, maybe late early 20s in college. And he said, the career that you're trying to establish and trying to figure out doesn't even exist today. So just study your interests, study a skill set, learn skill sets, learn substance, and what you're going to end up doing does not even exist today. So that has really stayed with me. That being said, I have a lot more direction now, and I am pursuing, my healthcare dreams in this country. So in addition to expanding Physique57 and both online and offline, I am currently working on our healthcare system that we've been wanting to launch offline, which we will now launch hopefully towards the end of this year online, and it's really directed towards women's health. I will be more public about it, soon, but it's very exciting. It's a very exciting sort of game-changing thing within women's health, and it's a virtual platform really that will that will give people science-based service, which I think is important. So it's not about medical consults. It's not just about articles. It's sort of bringing that all together, and making sense of their own personalized healthcare. So that's what
Okay, the next
that'll,
5 to
that'll take me some time. So that'll take,
oh,
that'll consume me for the next few years.
okay, so we're gonna have you back on the show next time talking about your next venture, and that gives me an opportunity to interact with you again. And at 8:57, at exactly 57 minutes to the show, we're going to end
Perfect.
this workout. Thank you so much for your time, your energy, infectious passion for what you are doing, and a great brand ambassador. Honestly, Physique57 is lucky to have you because you're so passionate about the experience. I mean, really, it's infectious. Virtually, you've been able to transmit your passion for it, and really thankful for sharing for sharing your journey, your experiences so candidly and so honestly with us. Thank you so much, Mallika. Look forward to connecting with you both online and offline very soon.
That was so sweet, Vibha. Thank you so much for having me. This was so much fun. I love that we're done in 57 minutes. That's so appropriate. So thanks again. I look forward to chatting again soon.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thanks very much. Take care.
Thank you. All right, guys. That was Mallika Parekh from Physique57 India, helping us stretch our muscles a bit. Definitely think about getting stronger and fitter. And we'll look forward to welcoming you to our next week's episodes. Not going to share who the speaker is, going to keep it a surprise. Stay tuned to our Instagram at ReachIV. And if you aren't following Physique57 yet, please do follow them and stay tuned to their journey. All right, I'm going to sign off now. Have a very good evening, everyone. Thank you.